All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to talk about something that sounds super technical, but is actually a secret superpower for any business analyst. We're talking about APIs, and I promise by the end of this, you'll get it and you won't need to write a single line of code.
So let me ask you something. Have you ever, ordered food through an app or obsessively tracked a package on your phone? What about using Google Maps but inside of Uber or another app?
Well, if you said yes to any of those, and I'm pretty sure you did, then congratulations. You're already a pro at using APIs. You just didn't know it. You use them every single day. And we're about to pull back the curtain on how all that magic really works. So how does it all happen behind the scenes? Well, we're going to use a really simple analogy that makes everything just click. We're going to call it the digital waiter. Okay, first, let's just get the official kind of clunky definition out of the way. API stands for Application Programming Interface. Yeah, I know, it sounds a bit much. So let's just forget the jargon and focus on what it actually does. At its heart, an API is basically a messenger. It's just a set of rules that lets one piece of software talk to another piece of software. It's the universal language that lets all our apps and systems connect to each other.
And this brings us right back to our analogy. Seriously, the absolute best way to picture an API is to think of a waiter in a restaurant. Once you see it this way, you'll never forget it.
So here's how it works. You're the customer, and you have a request, your food order. The waiter is the API. They take your request back to the kitchen, which is the other system. The kitchen does its thing, prepares the food, and then the waiter brings it back to you. That's the response. The key part? You get exactly what you wanted without having to know anything about how the kitchen works. That's precisely what an API does.
Okay, neat analogy, right? But why on earth is this a critical skill for a business analyst? Let's talk about how this simple concept transforms from a tech term into one of the most powerful tools in your entire toolkit. Think about your role. As a BA, you're the bridge, right? You connect what the business wants with what the technology team builds, while APIs are the actual steel cables holding that entire bridge together. They're not just a technical detail, they are literally what makes modern business run. When you really get APIs, your effectiveness just skyrockets. You can write crystal clear requirements for how systems should connect. You can easily translate business needs into data flows. You can talk to developers in their own language. And maybe best of all, you'll start seeing new opportunities for automation everywhere. So, you're sold. You get it. But how do you actually put this knowledge into practice? Well, I'm going to give you a super simple 4-step playbook you can start using on your very next project. Our playbook is super straightforward. First, we'll learn the basic verbs that APIs use. Then, we'll look at the flow of the conversation, the inputs and outputs. Third, we'll talk about how to map these connections. And finally, we'll see how you can test and validate the results. No coding required. All right, step 1. Most of the APIs you're going to run into, they're called REST APIs. Use a handful of really simple, common-sense commands. Just think of them as action verbs that tell the other system exactly what you want it to do.
And honestly, it's pretty much this simple. Get is for retrieving data, like getting a customer's info. Post is for creating something new, like placing an order. Put is for updating information that's already there. And delete, well, you can guess what that one does. These 4 verbs cover almost everything. Okay, next up. Every single API interaction, no matter how complex, is just a 2-part conversation. There's what you send, and there's what you get back. We call that the request and the response.
Let's make it real. The request might be something like, hey system, get me the customer details for ID 101. The system then processes that and sends back a response, like, okay, here you go. Name is Alex, email is alex@example.com. As the BA, your job is to define exactly what needs to be in that request and what you expect to get back in that response.
And that leads us to your most valuable contribution here. You make these invisible digital conversations visible. You become the person who maps out and documents exactly how these systems are going to talk to each other.
And to do that mapping, you just need to answer a few key questions. Where's the data coming from? Where's it going? What action kicks off this whole conversation? And, this is the big one, what specific data gets sent and what specific data do we expect to get back? Answering these questions is the heart of integration analysis.
And finally, step 4. And this is a big one. So many BAs think testing is only for developers or QA folks. Not true, especially with APIs. You can and you absolutely should be involved in making sure the API does what you said it should do.
You don't need to write a bunch of code. You can use simple tools to send a test request and then just look at what comes back. Your guiding question is always the same. Simple one. Did we get back exactly what we asked for? This is how you prove your requirements are met way before the project is even finished.
So when you get this simple framework, you completely transform APIs from some invisible technical thing into a core part of your job. You're not just gathering requirements anymore. You're becoming an integrations expert.
So, let's wrap with the key takeaways. 1. APIs are just digital messengers, like our waiter. 2. You don't need to code. You just have to understand the conversation. 3. Your job is to make it all visible. Map it, document it, and validate it. And 4. This skill makes you absolutely essential to any modern project. Period.
So I'll leave you with this thought. You now understand the basic language of digital connection. The question isn't if you can help design how systems work together anymore, it's how. So what process in your company is just waiting to be connected, automated, and made better? Go find it.